What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through a massive 13-game slate in the NBA. We are done with the lighter schedule of the in-season tournament. Now until Tuesday, January 4th, there's only one day with 4 or fewer basketball games, I believe it is, or maybe it's fewer than 4 basketball games. And that is Christmas Eve when there are no basketball games. Slate has at least 4 games or more. And there's a lot of really big slates in there too. So over the course of the next month, expect this injury show to be filled with content and information, filled with Q tags, and a lot of rest I'm expecting over the course of the next month, as well as this schedule is really, really condensed on the players and really challenging. Today, we've got a bunch of Q tags, which is a little bit alarming coming off of some of the lighter portion of the schedule. But Mike, how are you? How are you feeling? You ready to sift through all this?
Yeah, feeling great. I did it's called the Flatiron hike on Saturday with Sam, who does minutes with us. I've gone hiking probably like 1,000 times in my life. It was the hardest hike I've ever done. But we finished it. It was great. It was dangerous, but yeah, feeling alive today and ready to dig in on this monster slate.
Well, let's get to it. Let's start with Cleveland and Orlando. On the Cleveland side of things, they will be without Karis LeVert and Evan Mobley tonight. What are your expectations for the Cavs without 2 of their top 6-7 rotation players?
So we know that Dean Wade's going to start. He was really good defensively, believe it or not. You know, we always love to dog him for the low usage, but really big impact on guarding Jimmy Butler and a really nice win from them. And this rotation was quite odd. So you see, Craig Porter getting decent minutes, Tristan Thompson getting decent minutes. They were subbed in behind. Sam Merrill went in ahead of Craig Porter, and then Damian Jones went in ahead of Tristan Thompson. And Tristan Thompson was used on Jimmy Butler. Believe it or not, and quite an interesting matchup switch. So I think Tristan's going to be behind Jaren Allen, who should play, a pretty good bit. They're going to need as much rim protection as they can against one of the best rim offenses in the NBA. So yeah, expecting Wade to start. We'll certainly see Tristan Thompson, Craig Porter, George Niang, and Okoro will fill out that second unit, and we'll see probably elevated minutes from guys who are rested. And the Orlando's guard defense has started to slip a little bit here, so we'll see if Donovan, who had 35 ball the last time these two play, and Darius Garland should be in a pretty good spot to score despite the really good rim defense.
Yeah, we thought we were getting elevated minutes from Jared Allen in the same spot without Evan Mobley last time, and he ended up getting stuck at 25. So really, really odd rotations last game from Cleveland. We'll see if it gets back to more normal, which for them, when they're shorthanded, usually means tighter rotations generally. Yep. Orlando side of things, Jonathan Isaac listed questionable, Jalen Suggs listed questionable. They're still without Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter Jr., though there has been some optimism around the return dates for those 2 players. What are your notes on the Magic?
Yeah, so Jonathan Isaac's going to be good to go, according to Jamal Mosley. And it sounds like Jalen Suggs, I was listening to the shoot-around quotes, it sounds like Suggs is trending in. He still has to kind of go through some more check marks to get out there, so he'll be game-time decision. The Magic are, the most timely injury reporting team. So I'm curious to see the timing of when we get this news. It's probably, we usually get their starting lineups really early, basically when, the first thing when we're doing the DFS shows. So that's something we'll be watching. Maybe they don't tweet that out today, but it sounds like he's more in than out. So obviously that would take Gary Harris to the bench. He would still be in the rotation. It would take out Caleb Houston, who played pretty well at the bench for them, and cut down a little bit of minute ceiling for Cole Anthony. Chuma KK would go away as well, and it would take a little bit of ball handling away from Paolo Banchero, who crushed this matchup last time, dropped a career high 42. So his handling has been really, really strong as well.
Let's move to Indy and Detroit. The Pacers coming off the disappointing performance in the in-season tournament finals. They're without Andrew Nembhard today. They're also without Jalen Smith, and they've got questionable tag on Aaron Nesmith. What are your notes on the Pacers tonight?
Yeah, the Nembhard injury is going to be a lot of time, so he'll be out for a little bit. That'll get TJ McConnell in the rotation. And then Aaron Nesmith hurt his hip over the weekend, and we'll see. We'll see if he's out there. He's played through some hip stuff. He had he injured the other hip last year on a fall, so we'll see if he's back. Obviously, if he doesn't play, that really helps Obi Toppin's minutes. That would probably secure Isaiah Jackson's minutes in the rotation a little bit more solidly. And then Ben Matherin's ceiling would be significantly higher. Same with Buddy Hield. So, yeah, we'll see on Nesmith, but it certainly sounds like this is an injury There's actually a lot of hip injuries on this slate today, but he's one. I think he's more in than out.
On the Detroit side of things, Marvin Bagley doubtful, Jalen Duren out, so pretty thin up front at the center position. They're also without Monty Morris, Jared Roden, Stanley Amude, and the G Leaguers. What are your notes on the Pistons tonight?
Yeah, they can't start big. They can't start Weissman, right? That's the question, because everyone, we all thought that they were going to start small here, and boy, at the 4 they didn't. They started Bagley, so now with Bagley doubtful, you would think this is the day that they go small and they start Cade. Obviously, Killian's going to start. Certainly, Stu and Boyan are going to start for sure. But I think it would be Ivy in a smaller lineup. I really don't think they would go small. They might start Asar as well. I think that they kind of like him off the bench here, though. So I would lean Ivy as the 5th starter with the other 4. And then there was commentary from Monty saying he needs to figure out the second unit. And I mean, this rotation is just impossible. They're like playing 12 deep. It's so hard for us to do the minutes on them. This guy has no idea what he's doing with this rotation. We could diss him, but it's on his players too. His guys just aren't playing well. They're freaking 2-20 right now, so it's looking for answers and not finding any of them.
Yep. On to Miami and Charlotte. On the Miami side, they're without Bam Adebayo, without Tyler Hero, without Haywood Highsmith. Nikola Jovic is on G League assignment. They've also got questionable tags on Kyle Lowry and RJ Hampton, who's a G League 2-way, notable questionable there. And then they've got listed as available Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin. So no Bam, no Tyler, no Haywood Highsmith, possibly no Kyle Lowry. What are your notes here on the Heat?
Yeah, there are some puffer pieces coming out on RJ Hampton, and Eric Spoelstra was asked about it, and he said he was going to make excuses for his team being injured. So it's certainly lining up like Kyle Lowry's going to miss this game, which I guess they would start Josh Richardson. We've seen Josh Richardson close at the point quite frequently for this Miami team. So I would lean, if Lowry's out, Josh, Orlando Robinson, Caleb Martin, Jimmy, and then Duncan, and then Hawkins' minutes would be so high off the bench. I think they would bring in RJ Hampton for minutes, possibly bring in Jamal Cain. We know that Spoelstra has thrown out when he's really shorthanded, he'll say stuff like, "Oh, we're going to use the whole roster," stuff like that. So keep an eye on it. But I think Lowry's got a good chance to miss it on this one.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised that Jamal Cain didn't play in this game against Cleveland. I mean, they basically went straight 8-man rotation, super, super tight. Obviously, they knew they were having some time off, with 2 full days off after this game. So maybe that played into it. But I was a little bit surprised that Jamal Cain is like that far behind some of these other options that they were willing to play. So interesting to track tonight if he is able to get in there. Charlotte side of things, they're still without LaMelo Ball, without Cody Martin, Frank Ntilikina. They've got doubtful tags on Nick Smith Jr. and Mark Williams. Leaky Black, a G Leaguer, noted as available today on the injury report. What are your notes on the Hornets?
Yeah, Mark Williams played through this back thing, and full disclosure, we screwed up a bet. We took an under on Nick Richards, which was just not good on our part. So apologies to the props guys. But yeah, looks like he's going to be out. That would obviously get Nick Richards in the starting lineup. There was comments from Steve Clifford saying that they really like PJ off the bench. PJ's minutes were pretty short in this game. I thought he would kind of get up there a little bit more, and they've been trending down a little bit, but I think he'll have pretty secure minutes. Could be really, really tight rotation. We've seen Clifford when he's shorthanded, he will play his guys a lot. So Miami's defense is struggling. They're really bad against the rim. They clearly miss Bam. So yeah, I think that this is a pretty good game environment to attack overall. So yeah, I think Rozier could have a pretty interesting game. I think Miles Bridges can go off. Nick Richards, I think, could really handle Robinson. So we're not used to attacking Miami, but this is a spot where I think the Hornets could put up some points.
Washington and Philadelphia on the Washington side, they're without Landry Shamet, without DeLon Wright, without Johnny Davis, who once again pretty short-handed in the backcourt. They've got a questionable tag on Daniel Gafford, which is not exactly the player you want to have a questionable tag on going into a matchup with Joel Embiid. So what are your notes on the Wizards tonight?
Yeah, different injury here. Hurt his ankle, and I think he hurt his ankle last week, and he was questionable, and then he's kind of good to go. I think this time it's a hip, if I remember.
Yep.
But yeah, it sounds like, yes, there's so many hip injuries today. But I think he's going to be in there. These hip things are generally things guys play through unless it's really bad. Like Anthony Edwards' hip was like terrifying, but expect him to play. If he doesn't, I think they would start Moose just to get a bigger body out there for Embiid, assuming Embiid goes, which we'll get to. And then we'd see a little bit more Bilal Coulibaly and Danilo Gallinari as well.
Yeah, and they don't have big bodies to throw. So, I mean, Mescal, that they can ask to eat up some minutes, but Embiid's out there for 34, 35. Mescal's not going to be out there for 34, 35. Gallinari and Mescal combined are probably going to try to get out there for 34, 35, but those guys don't play a lot normally. So would be really interesting to see kind of the smaller combinations that they go up against. Obviously a really good matchup for Embiid, regardless of Gafford's availability, but also it could lead to a lot of doubling. That's one of the things that if teams try to go small against Philadelphia, they will try to double Embiid a lot, but he's gotten so much better as a passer this year that that's not even as viable of a route as it has been in the past. On the Philadelphia side, maybe there won't be Joel Embiid, though, because he is listed as questionable with left knee soreness. You would think that this is one of the spots that if you were going to kind of manage Embiid throughout the course of the season and find a game, this looks like one that would potentially set up that way. From a schedule standpoint, they play, I think it's 4 games in the next 6 days. So because they have a back-to-back on Friday, Saturday. And so it's a pretty condensed part of the schedule here. This is a softer spot, though, with them because they have Washington here, then they have a Detroit home and home, then they get at Charlotte before it kind of ramps up a little bit closer to the Christmas Day slate. So what are your notes on Embiid and the questionable tag tonight?
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to play, but that just the context of it, there's a little bit of doubt because it's the Wizards. He just dropped 50 on them last week. But he went through shoot around, and it looks like he's going to be okay. Nick Nurse didn't sound too concerned. He said it was a quad/knee thing. So I think he could play, but they might just scale him back just for just to keep the overall workload down. So would keep an eye on that. And the other big note here is the backup center spot. We saw Paul Reed lose his minutes in the fourth quarter because Nick Nurse said he did not like how they played in the second. So that's something we'll certainly be watching. We've seen them go to Marcus Morris as a starter who they seem to like in that spot. So I think if Embiid's out, they would probably start Morris again, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Mo Bamba after he may have leapfrogged him there. So, but yeah, I think Embiid's in. We're not going to know. Like we're going to find out when the Sixers social media team tweets out the starting lineup. So, if you want to kind of bet into it, put them on notifications and, try to beat the books to it if you can.
Yep. It is a 7:00 Eastern start. So,
Did I lose your audio? I can't hear you. I don't know if it's me or not.
Okay. No, audience, help us out if you can hear me or not.
You're good. I got you.
Okay. Perfect. Denver side of things, Jamal Murray listed probable here with a right ankle sprain. No other notes on the Denver side. What do you think of the Nuggets and the probable tag for Jamal Murray?
Sounds like he's going to go. Certainly back-to-back related. You're good now on the audio. It was just a minute there. So he played in the last game, had that P tag again, but after the game, like Michael Malone said, he played him too many minutes, front and back-to-back. So we're being a little bit conservative here. Certainly a couple of days off could help, but expecting him certainly to go. But, be careful. Those probable tags and back-to-backs we've seen for a guy who's had some bad injuries in his career. Hamstring, that cost him about a month. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if they sat him, but expecting him to go with, lowish, midish 30 minutes for him.
All right, Atlanta side, Trae Young not listed on the injury report, so we'll get Trae Young back tonight. But DeAndre Hunter is listed as questionable with right quad tendon soreness. They're still without Jalen Johnson, who they're going to be without for some time. What are your notes on this DeAndre Hunter injury?
Yeah, this is a little concerning. Quad tendons, that's a pretty bad injury. So he's had right knee injuries over the course of time, like multiple, including like multiple week absences because of his right knee. So yeah, very much one of the biggest questionable tags as far as that we have evidence of a lingering injury on the slate today. So I think he could miss, which that's an important piece for them. So I think would AJ Griffin actually play here? I think they would probably start. I mean, they might just start big, right? I think that's how they would do it. Yeah, I honestly think they would start big. I think they would start Okongwu if they didn't have him and then play Sadiq as a straight 3. But they could start Wes. They could start Garrison. Maybe they dust off AJ Griffin. My God, our AJ Griffin best ball shares are totally dead here. But yeah, keep an eye on the Hunter tag for sure. I think he's got a decent chance to miss. But it could just be like a maintenance tag.
Yeah.
So not much evidence of like is how much he hurt it, but there is evidence that he has hurt this knee multiple times.
Yeah, if Hunter misses, I think they'd start Wes or Garrison Matthews. I think one of the Matthews boys, just most likely. Like the rotation gets really funky if you try to start a Kongwu, especially with Jokic playing kind of like full first quarter type rotations. All right,
they got Bruno
to the. Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. That is a route that they could go. Toronto and New York on the Toronto side of things. No Otto Porter Jr., no Christian Coloco, no G Leaguers. What are your notes on the Raptors?
Yeah, just the constant beats, just pushing this possible starting lineup change on us. There was commentary again from Darko saying that these iffy starts have been a problem. They got kind of boat raced in the first quarter. So yeah, the beats are painting a picture that there's a lineup change coming, but we don't really have any evidence other than poor performance, which is I guess big piece of evidence. But yeah, Otto Porter Jr. is not going to play in this one, so we should have a pretty solidified rotation. Maybe Gary Trent's minutes can come back up a little bit. Mile Kyle be in the rotation. Precious and Boucher should be pretty safe here. But yeah, not expecting any changes. But do keep an eye on it because the beats certainly are.
What would the potential change be? Trent for Schroeder? Is that the most likely change if they were to make one?
I think so. Or maybe I don't know why they would take Pirtle out, but yeah, I think it would be.
Yeah, I don't think taking Pirtle out would make any sense. I think pairing Schroeder with Precious from a pick and roll standpoint might be useful, but in the second unit. But yeah, and giving a little bit more dedicated ball handling to Siakam and Barnes and floor spacing for Trent would make some sense. That's the starting lineup we thought we were getting coming into the season. So I could see that being the case. A lot of changes floating around Toronto, a lot of hot stove on the trade rumors as well. New York Knicks side of the equation, Jalen Brunson sprained his left ankle late in that game Friday against the Celtics, was subbed with like 30 seconds left in the game that was out of hand, but it was when he turned an ankle as well. Emilio quickly also questionable with right knee inflammation, and Mitchell Robinson's going to be out a long time with left ankle injury. So what are you expecting from the Knicks tonight?
Yeah, rough for Mitch. He had the social media post this morning that was pretty clear something big was going to happen here. So he's going to miss about 2 months or more, maybe more than that. And that's not great. So it's going to be at least 8 to 10 for him. So yeah, Isaiah Hartenstein, certainly a guy who was held in check a lot when Mitch missed games. Like he wouldn't get the minute ceiling. I just feel a little bit differently this year. We've seen Mitch have a more minute ceiling. So I think kind of transitive property here that we may get a little bit more Hartenstein than we're accustomed to. So he can play a bunch. Certainly Jericho Sims would step into the rotation. And we've even seen Jericho Sims get starts. So that's something we could keep an eye on. I would be pretty shocked if they didn't start Hartenstein, who's played really well this year. Nick's second unit's been one of the best in the NBA. Certainly no Quickly would be. And I should mention Brunson sounds like he's going to go. But man, Tibbs really, he was playing with fire, keeping those guys out there. So he didn't regret keeping them out there. Because they should have pulled him, and getting an injury in garbage time for one of your best players is not a good look. And then we did get the starting lineup change that, the beats were all over. It was Dante DiVincenzo moving in the starting lineup, but expect that to stick. And then quickly, if he's out, we'll definitely get Deuce McBride in the mix to pick up a bunch, but that would also really, really help the minute ceilings for RJ Barrett, who looks to be over that little migraine thing that was plaguing him a couple weeks ago. And then Grimes minutes would be a little bit safer. I could see Hart playing a ton here, especially if they did want to mix in some small lineups there. But yeah, Quickly's injury could be kind of a big one. And it's a little bit of a late ad, which is usually a bad sign.
Yeah. And obviously if they were somehow without Brunson and Quickly, things get really, really thin from kind of a playmaking perspective on this roster. It would be a lot of Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. I imagine they would be staggered pretty heavily, even though Tibbs generally likes to go first unit, second unit stuff. I would think they just would need the playmaking staggered. So keep an eye on the Knicks injury report today, because it's a big spot with a lot of ball handling all on the injury report there. Chicago and Milwaukee. On the Chicago side, Alex Caruso listed questionable, still without Zach LaVine. That'll be the case for a few weeks. Patrick Williams listed probable here with left ankle soreness. What are your notes on the Bulls?
Yeah, Paul should be good to go, but man, Caruso, the commentary from Billy Donovan 2 games ago saying that they wanted to get him out there for more minutes with shorter stints, and of course he gets hurt the next game. So Yeah, like Fan and I said, he's the new AD, and he just goes to the locker room all the time. I wanted to see the underdog, Anthony Davis peeking out with Caruso photoshopped on there. So I need Fan to do that next time. But yeah, keep an eye on him. I think he's got a decent chance to miss, but expecting him to go overall. If he doesn't play, that would be a ton of Ayo Dosunmu, a little bit more Carter. See some Julian Phillips and Torrey Craig also coming off an injury. Was great, career high 5 threes in a really big win. The Bulls, I should have bet them. I was kind of thinking they were going to win, as I mentioned on the show last week. But and then Kobe, gotta mention Kobe. His role is so big. The minutes are insane. Just a great matchup too for ball handlers as well. So yeah, it could be pretty condensed if they are missing Caruso.
Yeah, on the Milwaukee side of things, still no Pat Connaughton, no Jay Crowder. Chris Livingston is listed as questionable, but I don't think that's something we need to cover. Any notes on Milwaukee?
No, not really. Just they're getting the old 3 funnel. So the Malik Beasley stuff and all that should be in play. But yeah, no, not too much to add. Middleton's minutes have been ticking up here, hitting 30 as well. So it looks like the minutes limit maybe will be off by Christmas at this rate. Christmas 2025, that is. I'm kidding. But yeah, it looks like he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the minutes look post in-season tournament for Milwaukee. Obviously, they did expand things a little bit up there, but Middleton specifically is the one that I'm like most interested in seeing. Do they bring right back down to 25 and like acknowledge like, oh no, this was an in-season tournament thing that we're going to get them up here and we're going to still take it slowly. I'm very intrigued to see that one. Giannis, Brook, Dame, we know those guys are all coming down a little bit from where they were in that Indiana game. All right, Dallas and Memphis. On the Dallas side of things, no Josh Green, no Kyrie Irving, no Maxi Kleber, no Grant Williams. That's a lot of outs for Dallas. Luka and who else for the Mavericks tonight?
Yeah, Luka and Seth Curry should start in Kyrie's spot. We saw Curry start the second half, and then Dante Exum's locked and loaded. He played really well in this Blazer game, and I mean he's going to play a ton. I could see him playing, mid 30s again without Kyrie get additional playmaking. He could get some of the non Lukas to carry some handling, tied with Tim Hardaway Jr. So yeah, expect those guys to start. And then obviously you're gonna have Derek Lively and Derek Jones Jr. A lot of Derek's in this game. You got Derek Rose on the other side as well. But yeah, maybe we'll see. I don't think we really see the Omax Prosper stuff. Jason had talked about Markieff Morris and AJ Lawson giving them some good minutes, so I think those guys might be ahead of Omax Prosper. But again, the headline here is that Luka could just completely smash this matchup, and then the minutes could be pretty strong for Exum, Curry, Derek Jones, Derek Lively, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes could be really, really strong. And then the rest of the guys will kind of piece it together. So it could be a pretty tight rotation here.
Yeah, I would say there's only 7 guys that they really have any level of confidence, trust in, right? Derek Jones Jr., Derek Lively, Luka Doncic, Dante Exum, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, Seth Curry. I think after that, it's a little bit of a toss-up. So the notes from Kid having positive commentary on Markieff and Lawson are intriguing, as those guys could be 8-9 in the rotation, and maybe Prosper gets a shot as a 10th, but they are they are not super comfortable going beyond. And it's notable that there was no Jaden Hardy in the second half after Kyrie Irving went down in this game. In the past, Jaden Hardy's been kind of the guy who has taken on a bigger role when they've been without one of Kyrie or Luka as kind of a primary ball handler, distributor, scorer. They feel confident enough in what they're getting from Tim Hardaway Jr. In that role, and confident enough what they're getting from Dante Exum and Seth Curry to basically take over that role right now. So it'll be interesting, but a bad sign for Jaden Hardy in terms of not getting any playing time in the second half of Friday night's victory in Portland. Okay, Memphis side of things. No Luke Kennard, no Brandon Clark, no Steven Adams, no Juju Jackson, no John Morant, no Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia questionable. What are your notes on the Grizzlies?
Yeah, getting there for Ja. They got four more games here till we get him back. So yeah, we'll see the starting lineup that Taylor Jenkins seems to like. Derrick Rose, Desmond Bane, David Roddy, who will get the Luka assignment, Jaren Jackson, and Bismack Biyombo. Man, we're just not getting enough Xavier Tillman. I hate to see it there. Santi Aldama locked into a bench role. Jalen Noel locked into a bench role. And Vince Williams, that's kind of the – Conchar is kind of like if in and out. He's kind of been in the mix and out of the mix at times. But I feel pretty good about that 9. for a little bit longer, and then we'll see how the Grizzlies handle activating Ja's spot here. They may have to let someone go with or they will to activate a spot to let someone lose. So we'll see how they handle it. Certainly Bismack Biyombo, who is one of the last guys that's really locked down his spot on the team.
Yeah, there's been commentary about how they're trying to figure out essentially like how to keep Bismack because he was an exception and they need to move on from somebody. So there's lots of options you could move on from on this team. On to Minnesota and New Orleans. On the Minnesota side, filled with questionable tags here: Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Jordan McLaughlin. So Ant and Jaden McDaniels, 2 starters with questionable tags here. Notable. What are your notes on the Timberwolves?
Yeah, Ant again hurt his hip. He likes to play through stuff, so I would lean he's gonna play through this. Like all these hip bruises we talked about, he was listed originally with a hip pointer, so a little bit more serious structurally there. So, but yeah, keep an eye on him. I think he's gonna go, but I wouldn't be surprised if he misses this one. Jaden McDaniels. I've been practicing for about a week now, so he could be back. Timeline works out as well from when he missed his time with a pretty severe ankle sprain, so he could be back. Would expect a little bit of a minutes limit on him for a guy who doesn't play a lot of minutes because of fouls anyways. But they could play pretty big here, so that's something to keep an eye on. We know they run that triple big lineup out there at times against Memphis' size. That could be on the table, and then Cat could be firing from deep in a pretty good spot. But yeah, so yeah, I think they're both in, so that would be a starting lineup of Mike Conley, Ant, Jaden McDaniels, Cat, Gobert. Troy Brown's locked in. He's like really stepped up. He would probably start if for some reason these guys aren't playing. I think he's kind of just earned it, and we saw him start as well. So yeah, that mostly covers it. But I think Ant's going to play.
Do you think Nicky Alexander-Walker holds on to the starting role if Jaden McDaniels is limited, or do you think Jaden McDaniels, no matter what, would slide into that starting spot?
I think he would start. Yeah, I mean he's done more than enough, especially in the matchup, right? Like with those 2 he would probably guard Zion. I think. Yeah,
I think so. I was thinking Ingram.
Yeah, I think yeah, because it depends on how healthy Ant is. If they're nervous about Ant, then maybe he guards him. But I think they'd be comfortable putting Ant on Ingram. Is kind of the point I'm making. If he's healthy enough.
And then Conley on CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So where does that leave Cat? Floating on Herb, essentially?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. New Orleans side of things, they're without Larry Nance Jr. and Matt Ryan. They have listed Cody Zeller as available with face mask. What are your notes on the Pelicans?
Nothing. Just obviously embarrassing loss from them. They were winning the first quarter of that Laker game, which was quite wild. But yeah, Zion, man, just a lot of talk of his conditioning. It's not going well for him. We had an under on him that was quite good. Yeah, expect team to play pretty tight. Obviously, the matchup is terrible. The Wolves defense just keeps chugging along. Best half-court defense in the NBA. Best defense, best rim defense. Second best pick and roll defense. They're like top 2 or 3 in like every important defensive stat. They're just rolling along.
All right, San Antonio and Houston. On the San Antonio side, they've listed all their G Leaguers as questionable tonight. Or I should say most of their G Leaguers as questionable tonight on assignment, including Charles Bassey, Dominic Barlow, Sidi Sissoko, Blake Wesley. No other injury-related notes here. The lineup change last game shifted Victor Wembanyama to the center spot. I'm interested to see if that holds, especially in this matchup against Alperen Şengün. What are your notes on the Spurs?
Yeah, Pop is on it here. We saw that Wednesday when they had the long layoff, they made a big lineup swap and started Jetty Osman, and then they did it again. So he might do it again. For all we know, they might start somebody else. So I have zero confidence in the starting lineup here. I'm expecting it to be the one on the screen where it's Devin Vassell, Branham, Wembanyama, Keldon, and Sohan, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's flipped at all. He just does not like his team right now for how poorly they performed at 3-18, one of the worst teams in the NBA. Their defense is terrible. They haven't really improved. We talked about maybe having some marginal improvements. Nope. They're still one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah, and I would just note that really it's a pretty big difference for Wembanyama playing center versus playing power forward just in terms of fantasy appeal. You saw the 20 rebound game last game. The lineup that he was playing with is a lot of uncontested rebound opportunities for him in that spot compared to playing with Zach Collins. So I do think whenever you see a situation where a player goes from starting at power forward to starting at center, you should assume that there is a jump in terms of their value from a statistic standpoint, just because they're going to get more uncontested rebound opportunities. And that was certainly the case last game for Wembanyama. Okay, Houston side of things. Dylan Brooks listed available with an illness. Tari Eason listed questionable with lower left leg soreness. Reggie Bullock questionable with illness as well. What are your notes here on the Rockets?
Yeah, Dylan Brooks upgraded is a good sign. Should be there. And Reggie Bullock probably got sick from him. He's not really in the rotation anyways, so that doesn't matter. Tari Eason, I had to double check to make sure. I think it's the same leg, so we'll keep an eye on that. He's been playing pretty well. He's been seeing a little bit more spot closing minutes here, so it's something to keep an eye on. Took a little bit of minutes from Jalen Green late in this game. But yeah, this seems great. They're playing one of the best defenses in the NBA. They're the best transition defense by a ton, by like 2-3 points a game. So yeah, the Rockets are kind of cruising here, 10-9, and they're great at home too. Should mention. So think they could kind of blow this team out here.
Utah and Oklahoma City. On the Utah side, John Collins is questionable. Lauri Markkanen is out. Walker Kessler is out. So what does the front court look like in Utah?
It's gonna be bad. I'm sorry, just trying to get this Tari tag real fast. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So yeah, they're gonna start Omer Yurtseven, I would say for sure. This is bad, man. This is a 12.5 point spread. I almost want to hammer it. Like I don't know how they could hang with OKC, who's elite half court defense. I don't know how they're gonna score against them. Even with Dort, I don't think it matters. And John Collins is ill, so we may see a lot of Taylor Hendricks. This team could just be disgusting. So I'm having trouble here pulling the screen up. But yeah, it's going to be Keontae George for sure, Jordan Clarkson for sure, Simone Fontecchio for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if they actually start Chris Dunn to put him on SGA. It's something to keep an eye on. And then Omer Yurtseven would also start. But yeah, this seems pretty gross. So yeah, they're just getting kind of embarrassed these days.
Yeah, and I mean, how much would they be willing to unleash Kelly Olynyk? Because we've seen him be a good fantasy producer from time to time. He would seem to fit better in a matchup against OKC, who likes to play small a lot. Like, what kind of ceiling do you think there could be on a Kelly Olynyk? Or do you think we're just going to continue to see sort of shared minutes from the Jazz, even if they're shorthanded in the front court?
Yeah, I think they're going to share minutes. I mean, this team's losing a ton of games. I think that it's quite clear that the tank is kind of on. So, yeah, I would expect Atlanta to come off the bench, which naturally would kind of keep his minutes a little suppressed.
Okay. On the Oklahoma City side, they're without Lou Dort tonight, also without Keontae Johnson. What are your notes on the Thunder without Dort?
Yeah, no Dort. So it should be Cason Wallace getting the start with Aaron Wiggins picking up a bunch of minutes as well. We've seen kind of tricky minutes. We saw that Trey Mann kind of pop up on Wednesday. But yeah, really great win for them. Unfortunately, they only won by 2 on a Podziemski freaking tip-in, which was tilting for the OKC -3 gang. But yeah, and then that's kind of it. So Isaiah Joe's minutes will come up a little bit, but I think Cason Wallace would have a shot at 30 minutes. Giddey was kind of generally been unaffected. We saw that game when Dort got doghoused against the Rockets, and it was, I mentioned, like Trey Mann picking up minutes, and it wasn't Giddey. So Giddey's been having a really rough season, both on and off the court. So I did the minutes for when we got that news. I only bumped Giddey like a minute and a half. So it's not looking great for him. But J-Dub also should benefit. Really great game from him, man. Just guarded Steph a bunch, shot the lights out. My guy, proud to say this year, my guy J-Dub having a really good year.
Yeah, no, he was great. He was the only thing keeping my hopes up in that game with the OKC -3 tickets that died dreadfully at the buzzer. All right, let's move to Brooklyn and Sacramento. On the Brooklyn side of things, still no Ben Simmons, no DSJ, Dennis Smith Jr., no Lonnie Walker, and none of the G Leaguers. What are your notes on the Nets tonight?
Yeah, they should. They're going to run a lot of bigs here. We saw they knew, and it was funny. We all talk about the Wizards in the center spot, how we attack it. They knew. They were really going at this Wizards front court with their centers. Daddy Clack's nice double-double. Day'Ron Sharpe really smashed. So I would expect those guys to cover most of the center minutes. We've seen them mix in Dorian Finney-Smith, but now they don't have DSJ. They're going to play a little bit bigger, 1 through 4. So yeah, I would expect those guys to benefit a little bit. Still plenty of Royce. That's that's mostly it. We know the starting lineup. I think they're locked in with Cam Thomas as well, with Dorian off the bench for sure. We'll see if they get Watford in there for a little bit. Certainly not a lock for big minutes. And then there was commentary. I'm curious if they try to sneak in Harry Giles in there. I kind of doubt it. But there was a lot of commentary from Jacques Vaughn saying he's like earned minutes, but just Claxton and Sharp have been too good.
Yeah, you would think if there was a time though for them to slide him in, it would be the revenge narrative. Oftentimes, coaches tend to spot those things right before there's something on the calendar, whether it's a hometown visit or something that incites the opportunity. All right, Sacramento side of things: Malik Monk questionable with an illness, Colby Jones questionable with lower back soreness, still without Alex Len. What are your notes on?
Oh, I think I lost you at the end there. Hope you guys can hear me. But yeah, Malik Monk with the illness. Don't have a great read on that situation. Obviously, if he doesn't play, that would probably up Keon Ellis's minutes. Would help Kevin Huerter a ton. We've seen Huerter lose a lot of minutes. Obviously, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray would also benefit quite a bit. Yeah, and the matchup that should be pretty fast paced, pretty decent spread on this game, and in terms of like not being big. So really good game environment there. But and then more usage going to Trey Lyles in the second unit, I think could also be something to watch if Monk can't play.
Would you think the rotations would change dramatically if Monk couldn't play? They rely so much on him for second unit ball handling stuff. I wonder if Fox and Sabonis would be staggered even further.
Yeah, I think they would do that. We definitely need the second. I mean, there's like no playmaking in that second unit. So, I think they would definitely try to stagger those guys.
Yeah, so you could see sort of a natural bump for the potential assists and assist rate opportunities for Fox and Sabonis if Monk was unable to play, just because they might be staggered away from each other a little bit more. And you might see a little bit of usage kind of spill over to guys like Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, who might be asked to take on a little bit more usage if Sabonis is more of a playmaking role in the first unit when Fox staggers out early for an early sub or something like that. All right. Portland and the Clippers, last game of the slate to cover here. Portland's injury report is very, very full. DeAndre Ayton listed questionable, Malcolm Brogdon listed questionable, still without Jeremy Grant, who's still in concussion protocol, which is concerning. Obviously, without Robert Williams. What are your notes on the Trailblazers tonight?
Yeah, Chauncey Billups called Ayton and Brogdon day-to-day, which is usually a sign that they're not ready for the next coming game. So I kind of think they miss. So that would mean the same starting lineup here. And I kind of think Brogdon comes off the bench regardless, honestly, because I mentioned that he was kind of on. I thought that he was like not a lock to start when they had Ant Simon's return. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brogdon's bench regardless. Then obviously Duop Reith would continue to start for DeAndre Ayton if he can't go. And then, Scoot really benefited from fouls. I mean, the Blazers are fouling so much the last couple of days. It's kind of been bothering Chauncey Billups. He was really trying to stop himself from getting fined during the holiday season. Tumani Kamara, my pseudo guy, he's not my official guy. He chucked 20 shots and got some commentary from Billups that's not his game, which it certainly is not. But so I kind of think this is the starting lineup, at least 1 through 4, regardless of Ant, Sharp, Matisse, and Kamara, and then we'll see what's up with the center spot for Ayton and Reith. And then Chris Murray played pretty well at the bench for them. And then we know Jabari Walker plays big minutes here. They really trust him with the backup center spot, which they would kind of need here against the Clippers. So, it'd be a kind of a sneaky Jabari spot, especially if you could get garbage.
Would imagine any game that you walk out of with Tumani Kamara firing as many shots as Anthony Simons and more shots than Shaedon Sharp is probably not a great thing. There's not a lot of competition for him to lose minutes here, but that is the type of thing that young players can lose playing time over. There's just not much here that could potentially take it from him. Clippers side of things, Daniel Tice not listed on the injury report. He missed last game, and Zubats went ham in that one against Utah. No Musa Diabate, no Mason Plumlee. But with Daniel Tice available, I imagine Zubats' role will be kind of back to normal. What are your notes on the Clippers?
Yeah, after the game, Ty Lue said he spoke with Zubats and he said, "Hey, are you okay playing 40 tonight?" So I wish I heard that commentary before the game. But anyways, so he'll be coming back down a little bit to the upper 20s, low 30s. Been playing pretty well, and the Clippers are kind of riding the ship here. That starting line has been playing much better. Harden's role is coming around here. We're not seeing we saw zero overlap of Harden and Westbrook. They got a little bit of it because they were so shorthanded. And Tucker's dead. PJ Tucker is just not getting minutes. They're playing Kobe Brown now. Norman Powell continues to have a really strong role at the bench. So that 9-man with the starting unit. Tice, Kobe Brown, Norm, and limited Westbrook minutes. That's kind of locked and loaded. We're a far cry from having to worry about the Clippers minutes these days. Feel like we kind of know what we're going to get. Famous last words, though.
Yeah, they've adjusted the rotations as well, where James Harden is subbing out early. He's throughout his career played the whole first quarter, like almost his entire career. Now he's basically getting subbed out at the 5-6 minute mark of the first quarter. So they've adjusted rotations a little bit to make sure that they're not staggering Russ with Harden as much, and give Harden kind of free reign of a little bit more of a heavier usage role in the second unit a little bit more. And that seems to have really kind of turned the tide and unlocked a lot of things for them as a team. So yeah, I would expect more of the same. And then PJ Tucker, there's a bunch of rumors that they're talking about trying to figure out kind of a resolution, because he's very upset with his playing time situation there. So the resolution most likely would mean finding a trade partner, because I don't think they view him as a long-term solution here, would be my guess. All right, that'll do it. We did it in under an hour. Shout out to us. Shout out to Justin Fan for filling in for me on Friday in the pursuit of under an hour. That is always a challenge on those slates. If you are enjoying the content that we're putting out there, please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live. We're trying to get this YouTube channel up to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the NBA season. So if you can help us by subscribing, telling your friends to subscribe, we'd really appreciate that. If you're interested in more of our content behind the paywall, you can check us out, establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA for more information on all of our product offerings. Myself and Gary Hartman will be going live behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern, breaking down this 13-game DFS slate from a DFS-focused perspective. We've also got the props package on a weekly basis. If you're interested in that, please make sure to read the FAQ and understand the full details of that package. So check us out. We'll also be, most likely, we usually do some holiday discounted stuff. So look for that around the holiday time. 2 weeks from today is Christmas. If you are in need of holiday shopping, make sure to, if you're in need of a reminder, make sure to check your calendars, because the time is winding down quickly. If you are interested in getting us a holiday gift, you could smash that like button and help feed that algorithm. Much like Santa needs his Christmas cookies, the algorithm needs its Christmas likes. So make sure to smash that like button, caress it gently, push it firmly, smash it, whatever you'd like to do to it. Make sure it goes down so we can get that algorithm fed, and it can help feed our families, which allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need to make your DFS lineups, your season-long lineups, your DFS bets, your spread bets, and prop bets, so on and so forth. So make sure to smash that like button, feed that algorithm. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you tomorrow.